Welcome back. We're now going to look at the next assignment, which is the dealing with time wasters part 1. So we have a number of time wasters that we're going to consider in this course. And the first one we're going to learn how to overcome is sometimes goes by the name of management by crisis or just putting out fires. So let's go ahead and read this. It seems almost silly to talk about this one because almost everything is a crisis in computing support. Not quite, but a lot of things are critical. Nevertheless, there are still events that can be described as an emergency or crisis, even by our standards. David is Vice President of Sales of Initech. He is boarding a plane to Dallas soon, and he will require his laptop to do demos for strategic clients. Now, the word strategic, usually that refers to the future of the company, how we want our company to progress in the future. His laptop, however, is not working because the operating system was damaged by a virus. It takes 3 hours to set up his laptop with all the required drivers and software, but he's leaving for the airport in 20 minutes. So we need 3 hours to get his laptop working, but we only have 20 minutes. So the first question here is, well, use the priority matrix to evaluate the priority. Well, I think this one is pretty obvious. So if we're using a priority matrix, okay, the urgency, we have to do it now, so it's a 1. And the long-term importance, we said it's strategic clients, so that's a 1 as well. We have a weight of 2, and that gives us a priority A. Let's do the same thing with the 5-point system instead, or the custom priorities. And we see here, this was client satisfaction. And that, if you go back to the table, you'll see that's a priority B. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is we have 2 different priorities, and depending on which priority system you use. Now, if we're using the custom priorities, it was only a priority B, but clearly this is your highest priority. In fact, it's an emergency and it's priority A. So the point here is, even though the custom priorities allow us to prioritize things quickly and easily, we don't always get accurate results. If you need something accurate, you use the priority matrix. And we can see in the priority matrix, this time it was a priority A and it correctly prioritized it. The custom priorities, it's only accurate about 80% of the time. So that's something you should be aware of. The show must go on. So your company is hiring you because you're able to come up with solutions. How are you going to deal with this crisis? List no less than 3 possibilities that you can try for David. Well, you have to be creative here and you have to think outside the box. That's an expression we have, which means you don't think in a standard way, you don't think in a linear way. You just want a solution, and that means you have to be creative. So let's be creative. I'm only going to list a couple of solutions here, but I'm going to leave the rest for you. I'm curious to see how you answered this. Here's one. David can get on the airplane, head to the airport in 20 minutes, and you can fix his laptop and send it by courier. Okay, so after he arrives in Dallas, he can unpack and everything. You're staying behind in Montreal. You're fixing his laptop, and then you can send it to him. Here's another one. So that's one solution. Now, here's another one. If that meeting is so important, maybe he should consider bringing a technician along. So he can bring you along or another computing support technician. So bring a technician along. Just call up accounting, ask for the credit card, and then buy new plane tickets, and you will be going along with David to the United States to this conference. So that's a second solution. Here's a third solution. You might not be aware of it, but he can get on the plane and go to his hotel in Dallas, and then you can do remote control repair. And we're going to be seeing that in Module 9, how we can connect to a computer remotely and repair it from far away. These are only 3 creative solutions. There are many others, and like I said, you have to think outside the box to be able to solve problems like these. But keep in mind, it's always about solutions. Don't look at the problem, just figure out how you're going to solve it. Could this crisis have been avoided? Absolutely. A few things we could have done. If his computer was damaged by viruses, we could install antivirus software. We could have an extra laptop in storage. Sometimes this is called a floater or an extra laptop. And whenever somebody needs a laptop or there's an emergency, you can just grab it from the inventory room. Question E is interesting. Is there anything that David can do? Absolutely. David is a very smart person, so get him involved. And find out what his ideas are, and he can certainly help you solve this problem. So this is a very typical emergency or crisis that we would deal with in computing support. So go ahead, finish it off, and submit it online.